This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video. This week, it's a rivalry renewed as the Philadelphia Eagles take on the New York Giants. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's the Eagles and the Giants, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of the Millennial Management Podcast. I am your host, Brandy, the Millennial Manager, and today is Monday, bitch. If you are inside of Patreon, I want to say thank you for supporting the podcast financially. Also, when we go live, y'all, Patreon notifies y'all. So if you missing these lives, you need to turn your notifications on so that you don't miss the lives, okay? Now, for everybody else, it's motherfucking Wednesday, and I hope y'all having a good-ass hump day. No matter when y'all listening to this, first of all, bitch, I hope you're having a good-ass day, period. Now, this has been a big request about insecure managers, and we talked about this a while ago, but I think we need to bring this shit back. Because everyone doesn't necessarily have, like, the same traits when it comes to an insecure manager, and you want to know how to spot it. And really, you need to spot that early on. Okay, so we're going to talk about 5 things that insecure managers do. So if your manager is doing these things, you already know, like, this bitch is insecure. Okay, let's talk about number 1. Number 1, this manager is a micromanager. They want to do everything. They want excessive control. They do not want to allow team members to thrive. They are policing every single detail, everything. They don't want anybody doing shit on their own. They don't want y'all making decisions. They, like, literally, they are so, like, they have a hands-on experience with everything that's done, whether it's reports, whether it's emails. Like, there are some managers who want to review emails before they're sent out. That's how, like, crazy I'm talking about. Okay, they want everything in their hands. So they say, because y'all know how I feel about it. I feel like this is just a front that they put on to kind of pretend like this is how they really are. But in reality, if you really push these things on them motherfuckers would not. They would not. So I feel like number 1, it's just a game, to be honest. I feel like they do this to just show control over a team. And a lot of people do this when they have not led successfully in the past, okay? Meaning they have had really bad experiences leading teams, and they feel like this is the only solution, or they've never led a fucking team at all. Anyone who has truly led a team knows that autonomy is important, and you have to give your team members autonomy. If they are not able to use their own ideas, come up with their own ideas, how the fuck do you think they're going to be successful working for you? They're not. They're not, because every idea has to be yours. Those are clearly the only good ideas. So then it stifles creativity. It stifles progress. You don't really see a lot of people giving input because everything that they say is wrong. So then you have people detaching from work, which I'm sure some of y'all are doing right now because you're dealing with someone who is a bad manager. So I don't really understand what the thought process is behind it and why so many managers do it. But I do understand the thought process. It's control, it's a game. But you see that the results are not successful. So it's like, if you're really success driven, if you're really results driven, then you know what you're doing is actually counterproductive to your growth as a leader, and also counterproductive to your team's growth. They can't really expand from you because they're stuck under your thumb all the time. Now, another thing that that managers do that can show you that they're an insecure person is that anytime it is time for your team members to shine, you take the lead. You want to be in that spotlight. You never want your team members to be given any glory, any respect, any show of appreciation. You don't want that. And that's another counterproductive thing that people do, because if you're jumping in the way of your team being successful, when in reality, your team's success is your success. If your team's being successful, you're being successful. Just like if your team is being bad, it's the same thing. There are some things missing here. And unfortunately, it, again, stifles creativity because you have managers who don't want to share the spotlight or even just step aside a little bit and let their team members take credit for the things that they do. So then you have situations where there's an important meeting, or maybe there's an important report that has to come out, and this person is a narcissist. Okay, so they're doing everything to take the spotlight off of that team member and making sure that they don't get any of that shine, and it only comes to leadership. And it's a counterproductive tool. It's counterproductive. Now, this next one I think is a little harder to pinpoint, because poor communication can look a lot of different ways, y'all. It can look like this person is just not really talkative. As a leader, they don't really engage or communicate. But you have to communicate. You have to engage as a leader, as someone who is in leadership, as someone who is in a management director role. You have to talk to your team. You have to let them know what's expected of them. And you not communicating is a problem. You have to communicate. So an insecure manager will withhold very, very important information. And when they do this, it's because they want either number one, people coming to them and asking step by step on how to do things, instead of your manager laying all these things out for you. This is how we're going to do X. This is how we're going to do Y. This is how we're going to do Z. She only gives you a little bit of X. They only give you a little bit of Y. They only give you a little bit of Z. And you are like, why are you spoon feeding me these bit by bits when you could just give me everything all at once? When I have new managers, because I'm in the process of training a new manager right now, when I have new managers come aboard, I give them everything up front. I tell them all of their team members' names. I tell them the times that people are expected to be at work. I tell them the doctor's information. I give them control of the schedule. I give them.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Full control of insurance. I give them full control of everything in that particular location. I don't need to gatekeep shit, because in order for you to do your job, I need to make sure that you have the information lined up and you're able to be successful, which then gives me the freedom, number one, to not be stressing out about this location. But it also gives me the success too, because if you're here doing what you're supposed to do, then there's no fucking issue at this office. I don't need to be here. However, if we're having to be here constantly and I'm having to spoon feed you everything, that's a fucking problem. That's an actual problem. So leaders who like withhold information, it's a control thing. And it goes back to our very first thought. Like, they want to control and manipulate the narrative as much as possible. So they're only going to give you little pieces of information and hoping that you're not even successful with that little bit. And that's why it's really important for you to be resourceful in situations like this. Like, if you're dealing with all 5 of these things, you know what the fuck I'm going to tell you, bitch. Like, that person is never going to be a better manager. They're never going to wake up. They're never going to, improve outside of this, because exactly who they are at work, when it comes to this regard, as far as like the negativity, that's who they are, period. I believe that you can absolutely fake positivity. Negativity is a reality. That's who the fuck you are. So if you exude negativity all the time in the workplace, that's exactly who you are outside of work. And when you have a manager that has this type of thought process and wants to control every single narrative, that's exactly who the fuck they are outside of work. And you can't change that. Like, you can't shift that type of behavior. So when you're dealing with a manager that exudes these type of things that we're talking about, because we're only on 3, but just in these top 3, like, there is no fucking way you can ever escape that. And the fact that there's leadership that has not stepped in, that has not, coached this person out, or, took steps to help them become better, lets you know what type of fucking organization you're working in too. And it's a sad reality that, it is what it is, bitch. And there's no changing this. And when you get to that point, you have to know, I can only control what I can control. And what can I control right now? Myself. I can control how stressed out I get about this job. I can control how invested I am about this job. I can control my output at this job. I control that. So if I really want to take control of this situation in a situation where there are a lot of things not in my control, I just need to grab on to what I can. And right now, I can control myself. Okay? So let's start there. All right? Another thing that managers like to do, and this is actually an extension of poor communication, is gossip. They keep up more mess than a little bit. And if your organization is not drama free, they're not gossip free, they're okay with, managers partaking in foolishness, baby, you know what type of organization you in. And I see this a lot in healthcare. When I worked in healthcare, I still am in healthcare, but I'm in dentistry. But when I worked in like a hospital, that was the most like gossipy, type of environment. Oh my gosh. And the women that worked in that setting perpetuated it. They kept it going, but it was all this girl power and, the company was ran 100% almost by women. So we had women in leadership, then you had women in lead positions underneath leadership. Then you had the women nurses and women administrators and women, it was just like drama. Every fucking where. It was just every step you took, it was like bullshit. But this person said this, but this person said that, and this person said this. And it just became like this little drama fest. It was drama. And you had leadership participating in gossip. And they're not even like trying to be, shy about it. They're participating in the break rooms. They're participating. They're not breaking it up. They're not, telling people like this is actually inappropriate. We're not going to discuss these things. They're encouraging the fucking bad behavior. So you have managers this is an extension of poor communication, not only poor communicators with their team and insecure by withholding information, but you also have managers who gossip, who participate in the bad talking of employees. And that is a negative sign. Like, girl, if you're doing that as a manager, I wholeheartedly want your ass to fucking stop today, bitch. Do not participate. And if someone brings you the information, you need to turn it around. Please do not engage. Let's talk about number 4, inconsistent and reactive behavior. Now, when your manager is inconsistent, that creates a hard space for you to take constructive feedback from them. Number 1, you're inconsistent. You're not able to, number 2, know what the fuck is going on, because if you knew what was going on, you would be consistent. You are creating an environment of chaos, then turn around and want to create an environment where it's warm and where I feel, connected. And then you just really can't tell whether they're hot or cold. That's reactive. And then you have the inconsistent portion of it is where they're not really consistent about the expectation that they have of you. It kind of fluctuates. You don't really know where you stand every single day. And that is very hard to deal with. That's a hard, working environment to survive long term because you don't know where you stand. And it makes things very difficult for you when you don't know where your ground is, where your footing is. And I just really hope that, if you are in this situation, you need to make a decision because inconsistent, reactive behavior. You have managers who are yelling at employees. I did an email about a manager yelling at someone a couple weeks ago, I believe. And anytime that your voice goes over a certain octave when we're communicating, the conversation is over, bitch. I don't give a fuck what you're saying. I don't even give a fuck what was done. You're not going to yell at me. Okay? Everyone in this room is an adult, and you're not going to talk to me like I'm a child. Period, the end. I don't give a fuck what the result was. Nobody is going to yell at me. So I would rather go work at fucking Walmart, Target, McDonald's. I would rather go work in those environments before I allow somebody in corporate America to yell at me. Period, the end. The last thing is your manager is afraid of being criticized. Okay? Your manager is very sensitive to any criticism that comes their way. And when you try to say something to them, they become defensive. They lash out because their weakness is exposed, girl. Okay? You see that fucking wound. And a lot of y'all are walking and talking mirrors. So you don't necessarily know why your manager doesn't like you or why they're rude to you or why they're, just kind of attitudinal with you. Baby, you're a fucking mirror. You're holding up exactly what they don't want to see. Their shortcomings, their weaknesses, their critical areas that lack a lot of growth. They don't want to see that. And when you have someone that's just on their shit at their job, and whether or not you realize it or not, you're a walking mirror. So they see a lot of things that they want to be. And instead of embodying some of those traits that your team brings on, they decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break this person down and show them that I'm in control Why the fuck do you need to do that? If you're the person who's really in control, you're the person who's really in leadership, be in leadership, be in control. Why do you have to assert your authority over everyone that you come across? And it's weird fucking behavior to me. Like, you don't have to assert that. If you're really in control, you're really in leadership, and you're a boss and all this other shit, be that. You don't have to, throw that up in everyone else's faces every chance you get. That's how I know a lot of people don't really be about shit. Because if you're really a leader, you're really someone that makes decisions, and you're able to, control the environment. You don't have to do that. You don't have to assert every single time, because people respect it naturally because they respect you. They respect your demeanor. They respect your character as a person. And they know, like, she's not going to, do anything, or he's not going to do anything that is going to affect the integrity that I have within this organization. Also, your manager is going to avoid any type of difficult conversation like the fucking plague. Okay? They are literally going to be doing the fucking Heisman to get away from any difficult conversation, any unresolved issue, anything that lacks clear direction. They are running away. Okay? Okay. Now, bitch, I hope y'all have a wonderful ass day. Y'all know what I say. In this type of setting where you have these things, even if you get 3 out of the 5, bitch, it's time for you to plan and exit, because there's no making this better, because you cannot manage your manager. Okay? You can manage up for a short time, but that's it. After a short time of that, you're going to become exhausted because you're just coddling the behavior and trying to get them to stop. But when you have all 3 of these like the fucking infinity stones, bitch. You got the infinity stone, or they got the infinity stones. This bitch is Thanos. And at any point in time, it could become a hostile work environment. Well, it is, but even more hostile for you. And it's best that you make a decision when you're faced with these type of options. And is it going to be hard to find another job? Yeah, it is. But you need to actually look. Sitting and waiting for something to fall in your lap, and waiting for them to stop, and waiting for them to get fired, and waiting for administration to step in, they're not going to. They know this bitch is a terrorist. They already know that. They're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to step in. And sometimes y'all need to hear that there is like no fucking light at the end of this damn tunnel. It is actually very dark in this bitch. And if you don't do something about it, you're going to be in darkness too. Okay? Okay, ho. Y'all have a good ass day, just like I said. Patreon, I hope y'all have a beautiful Monday. Everybody else, I hope y'all have a good ass Wednesday, bitch. And I will see y'all motherfuckers later. Bye.